long-term investing, which is typically defined as investing for 12 months or more, right? And having the security for 12 months or more, as well as trading. So I would say the first step, however, if you are interested in a long-term approach to anything, as well as short-term, is educating yourself, right? Understanding what it takes to be a profitable company, right?
Yeah.
A company that's going to do well. Also understanding the differences between the different types of investing styles. So there's growth investing, there's value investing, and there's income investing. Oh, how are you?
Hello, Laquore. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. I'm great.
It's such a pleasure to connect with you from Clubhouse.
Yes. I am such a fan of Clubhouse. It has been a wonderful just connection and opportunity to meet some really amazing people. So thank you so much for reaching out to me as well.
You're welcome. I definitely know that from your profile, it tells us that you're a digital real estate investor, you're a stock trader, and an options trader where you coach on a mission to build a bridge between new investors and generational wealth.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yes, thank you so much. My whole goal is to help to eradicate wealth disparities, specifically among people who are Black and brown communities, and also just to promote the wealth transfer of generational wealth. So that's my thing. My printer is like acting up, so let me figure out what's going on here, because I was trying to print out my notes, but let me turn it off. Hold on. Okay, hopefully that'll work. Okay, so just stop blinking. Okay.
Awesome. It's so good to have you here. I would love people to know about how you started and why you started.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize we were recording. My apologies.
No, you're fine.
You were going to edit this, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, perfect. I'm so sorry. Okay, so could you repeat that question for me?
Yeah, my question is, I wanted to know how you started and why you started.
Yes. So actually my journey with becoming a trader in the stock market really started with a gift of $5.3 million.
Wow.
And so I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to lead a unit at a university and work with a donor who was so generous that she decided to gift us the $5.3 million in order to build a building. And so I became so inspired by her generosity and just thought to myself, wow, I would hope to someday to be able to leave a legacy that will live in perpetuity similar to what she has given. But I also recognize that my 9 to 5 would not put me in that position at all. My university treats me well, gives me nice salary, benefits, and all that, but definitely not the income to be able to build wealth in the way that she has been able to. So with that, over time, I got to know her a lot better, and I learned that she accumulated a lot of her wealth in the stock market. And from there, I was like, okay, I got to figure this thing out. Something I had been an investor long term, but not really actively trading or being intentional about what I was doing. And so when I learned that, I figured, okay, let me just devour and learn everything that I possibly could. And so from there, I began to study. I began to read all the books I could read. I learned how to read candlesticks, started watching YouTube videos, you name it.
Wow.
And began really digging in and trading on my own. I wasn't good at first, I'll be honest, I was not good. And so I began taking classes, and from there, that's when I learned how to leverage strategies in order to trade and be consistently profitable. And from there, I just fell in love with it, and the rest is history.
Wow, that's an amazing success story, because you're welcome. You have been able to get the best out of what people have given to you, and now you're giving it back by adding knowledge to their database.
Absolutely. Yes. And my whole goal, one of the reasons why I named my business Invest to Give, is to help position not only myself to leave a financial legacy, but to encourage others to really be able to be financially positioned to support the causes and the people that they care most about.
Wow. That is a beautiful story, because it just tells me that it's coming from the heart and you're here to help. You're not here to ridicule or, scorn someone. It's more so that they don't know. Now they know because you were the bridge that connected the two together.
Thank you. Yes, that's absolutely it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, in terms of finance, stocks, trades, because these words sound like buzzwords to people who have no clue what's going on, are you able to simplify what stocks and trades and options do for a person who is investing that has no idea of where to start?
Absolutely. And that's one of the pieces of feedback that I receive often from my students that are in my courses, as well as when I teach workshops. One of the things I always hear is that, wow, you have a knack of making this really simple. And so that's my aim, is to make the stock market a much more approachable space for people who have not, that don't have a background in this area. And I would also say that my background actually speaks to that. None of the degrees that are on my wall suggest that I should be owning a business teaching people how to trade. My background is in education. So that's one of the things that I'm proud of, is that, I don't have the MBA. I don't have the financial certifications, if you will, that would suggest that I should be dwelling in the financial markets, but I'm also extremely good at it, right? So that just tells you that when you study, when you learn, when you put your mind to learning a skill that you can leverage for a lifetime, anything is possible. Anything is possible. So that's one of the things that I would say I'm incredibly proud of, as well as being able to just break things down in a way that's digestible, and helps people to understand, how to, first and foremost, speak the language, then also using their understanding of the language in order to build wealth.
Okay. I definitely like the fact that you are in a different background and you're doing this almost full-time now, if not full-time completely. And now you've been able to let people know that even if you have a background in another industry, it doesn't stop you from learning the basics and the fundamentals to success.
Absolutely. It's absolutely achievable. Absolutely. It's a skill. It's definitely a skill. So just like a carpenter can become a master carpenter, just like a designer can learn how to design something. I mean, it's learning a skill. But the really amazing thing about learning how to leverage the stock market in order to generate income and build wealth is that it's something you can use for life. Something that you can absolutely use for life. One of the things that I was incredibly inspired by in my journey, I continually educate myself in this space, but prior to COVID, I attended several of the TD Ameritrade trainings. And during those sessions, I would see a lot of our more seasoned citizens, in that space, learning about how to trade on the stock market. And it just was a reminder to me that, not only can we, as those who may be in younger populations, do this, but this is something you can use forever, right? The stock market's not going anywhere. And so just having an opportunity to utilize a skill, I think, is something that's really, really helpful.
Okay. That's a good point that you mentioned. I think I'll also want to ask something, just to add on to what you said. If somebody had two options, right? And this just came to me. If somebody had two options between investing in the stock market and investing in real estate, what would you advise them to do? If they had just one investment cash ready to create that, that return, where would you advise them to go and why?
Okay, so first I was going to say both, and you tell me only one. And I'll start by saying the reason why I say both, because I believe in diversification. Right? There's 4 different asset classes, and so if we have the availability to diversify in all 4, that is the optimal I would say idea, right? Is to be able to do that. But if I had to pick just one between stocks and real estate, I would definitely say stocks, because you can invest in real estate through the stock market. You can invest in something called REITs, and that will give you exposure to real estate. There are also many companies that are in the real estate space that are publicly traded on the stock market as well. So you can accomplish both by investing and utilizing the stock market. Now, one thing I will say, and another reason why I say that the stock market may be a really great space to place your money, is that we have been in a bull market for over a decade now. And when I say a bull market, that means that prices have continuously been appreciating. Now, we have had some hiccups, which is called pullbacks here and there, specifically Corona. And recently we had a bit of a correction in the market as well. But with that, if you understand how to trade, you know that you can make money in both directions. So if the stock market is appreciating, you can profit. But then also, if there's a pullback that happens, you can do something called shorting and make money that way too.
Oh.
And if you're trading options, you can buy a call or you can buy a put. So regardless of the direction that the market's moving in, if you know how to leverage it, you can be profitable.
Wow. That's a great answer. I like the fact that you mentioned diversify, because that just makes more room for creating a space that you've probably never been in, but now that you're invested, especially when you're invested in something, you want to see it to the finish. So that's where the amazing lifestyle comes in, when you're able to build that connection between two things and really understand what it is for you. Now, normally people think about Bitcoin, they think about stocks, they think about all these things going on. Bitcoin is going up, Bitcoin is coming down. When somebody is investing and they're using all these apps like Robinhood or Coinbase, where do you put that person as an end user? Because you understand the fundamental practices, but someone that just wants to invest and leave it for 5 years, how does that person get in, and what decisions do they have to factor in before they make their first move?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So just similar to what I talked about earlier regarding diversification, I think it's helpful to utilize both strategies, right? Long-term investing, which is typically defined as investing for 12 months or more, right? And having the security for 12 months or more, as well as trading. So I would say the first step, however, if you are interested in a long-term approach to anything, as well as short-term, is educating yourself. Right? Understanding what it takes to be a profitable company, right?
Yeah.
A company that's going to do well. Also understanding the differences between the different types of investing styles. So there's growth investing, there's value investing, and there's income investing. So understanding the differences between those three, because once you understand that, you'll know what to look for within the fundamentals. Like, what does it take to be a good value company, right? What are those financial metrics? So understanding that and what style fits you well, I think would be helpful as well. Now, I say that to say, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do one or the other. You can be all three, but just understanding the metrics of how to define what makes sense for you is really important.
Okay. Are you able to also let us know the difference between those three and what they actually mean? Because someone can Google it, but they may get a better explanation from you.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Okay, so when we're looking at a value investor, right?
Yeah.
So that is a person who has a similar investment style, such as a Warren Buffett, right? They're looking for companies whose intrinsic value, meaning their financial metrics, suggest that they are worth more than what they're currently trading at.
Oh.
So the intrinsic value is worth more than what you can buy the stock for today. Okay. So for that, one of the key financial metrics you're going to be looking at is price to earnings. Okay. That's just one. There's others, but price to earnings is important. Another type of investing style is growth investing. So that's when we're looking for companies who are expected to outperform the overarching market.
Okay.
So on any given year, the market will tend to appreciate 8 to 10%. And so you're looking for companies whose growth is going to outpace that. Okay, whose return, I should say, is going to outpace that.
Okay.
So typically you'll find companies in the tech space that are considered to be growth companies. Now, one thing to note, however, is that as of late, when we look at the various kind of investing styles, value investing has started to pick up steam, whereas the growth investing has declined a bit because we're seeing a pullback in some of the growth stocks. But don't let that deter you, because it is beginning to narrow a bit. So I would just say, spend some time educating yourself in that space.
Okay.
So we've talked about growth investing. We also talked about technical. The other one is income. And so that's when we're looking for companies who offer dividends. And you may be asking, okay, so what is dividends? So dividends is when a company provides you with profits, a cut of the profits on top of appreciation.
Okay.
So for example, McDonald's is one that my daughter loves, right? And so they have, over the past several years, offered a dividend that's like $5 or more, right? So for each share that you own, you're going to get $5. So you ain't got to get up and go to work, put on your makeup, get in your car, none of that, right? Just getting extra money on top of appreciation.
Yeah.
So that's just a quick overview of the 3 different styles.
Okay. I love that. I love the fact that each of them has a level to reach, but you can also do all 3 when you know that you're putting all your eggs in different baskets, not in just one basket.
Absolutely. And if somebody's interested in dividend investing or becoming an income investor, a quick and easy way to determine if a company offers dividends is by going to a website like a Yahoo Finance or a Morningstar or something like that, and looking at the stock summary. And if you look on the stock summary, there is a section there that says dividends or dividend yields, and that's where you'll be able to determine if a company offers that or not.
Wow. Yes, I definitely agree with that. I think it takes about 7 years for a company to become an IPO, right?
Yes. So I don't know the exact number of years it takes for a company to go through the Security Exchange Commission to get approved, but it does take a lot. It takes a lot for them to meet that benchmark. Okay.
And in terms of trading and investing, because we've talked about those 2 and we've talked about them at length, but for someone who doesn't know, like trading is like, okay, I give you something, you give me something back. Investing is like, I give you something and I expect something back by X%. So what's the difference between those 2 when they're making those decisions about investments or trading?
So I think it depends on your end goal. So if you, and also your time horizon. So if you have time to allow your money to just work for you on your behalf, then utilizing an investment strategy will be really important. And that's where it's important to really understand the fundamentals of a company, the financial metrics that I just mentioned, because that's going to help you to determine, all right, is this a good company that makes financial sense, right? I always say that, buying what you know doesn't always make sense with
right.
the CENTS, right? But really understanding what's happening behind the corporate class, right? To determine if the finances of a company will position you well in order to make money, right? Now, I do want to talk a little bit about other things outside of companies, right? Because having exposure to one said company can put you at undue risk. So there's ways to mitigate that through investing in things called exchange traded funds, which is like a basket of companies, right, that will help you to not have as much exposure to, say, for example, if there is say, for instance, a CEO gets caught up in a scandal, right? Or if a company goes bankrupt, or anything can happen, right, at any given time. But if you are in something called an ETF, or you're investing in something called an ETF, then the something that might happen with one company won't be as impactful on your overarching portfolio. Okay, so that's something to consider. The other thing is when you're investing in ETFs is if you have 2 companies or 3 companies that are major players in the market. So for example, if you have like an Apple or Amazon or a Tesla, all in one ETF, and a particular sector is being hit at one time, that can also impact that. So just making sure, again, going back to the diversification mix, that you have multiple types of companies in it, so that at any given time you won't be impacted too greatly. So that's that. And then also investing in index funds is another option too. And so that is when you're mirroring various indices. So that puts you, it makes it a little bit less risky, if you will, than investing in individual companies. So that's one. So that's the financial metrics side. The other piece that I would say as it relates to trading, as traders, we aren't as concerned with all of the finances. Right? We want to make sure that it's a solid company, right? It's a good company. But as far as understanding price to book, price to earnings, all of those metrics, our main tool of analysis is a stock chart, right? So we want to look at the stock chart, determine levels of support, levels of resistance. We want to be understanding what's going on with price movement. That's where we know where our pivot points are in order to execute our trades. So that's our tool of analysis, whereas one who's primarily focused on long term, they're going to be looking at some other types of things.
Okay. Wow, that's definitely a 101 for people who need to know about stocks, exchanges, and trading for sure. Definitely. Yeah, I think for me, even if I think about what you've said now, it makes more sense when you're going into a trading or an investing space that you have no clue what's going on. But because, like you mentioned, checking the dividends per year, even if it's a small company, because there's some stocks that you see on the apps and you've never heard of the companies, but the market is up. So when you see the market being up and market going down, how do those things affect your financial decisions at the time and day you actually decide to invest in? Because I got to know recently that when you invest at a certain price, even if it goes down 1 second later, you've already bought it at the price that it was initially, not the price that it is now. So how do you make sure that you're not, shooting yourself too low and also not trying to shoot too high and then get unexpected ends that you didn't expect that, I wish I did this 5 seconds ago because now the stock has gone down. So how do you measure that out?
That is such a wonderful question. So I think that it's always important to understand what your risk tolerance is. Right? Okay. And I always tell my students that it's critical that before you take a trade, that you're able to build a case as to why that trade makes sense. Right? Think of yourself as if you're a judge, right? And you have to convince that judge, who is yourself, why you should put your hard-earned money at work in this particular trade. If you can check off these respective things, I have a mind map that I offer my students. If you can check off the things on that mind map, then that's when you know, okay, this makes sense for me to place this trade.
Yeah.
A part of that is understanding your risk tolerance. So if you go in knowing, I don't want to lose more than $20 on this trade, right? So even if it does go down after you initially place the trade, if it hits, now $20 is very conservative, so you want to give it some space, for the price to move.
Yeah.
But even if it does go down by some, that you're, by putting in stops when you place your trade, that if it hits whatever that risk tolerance is, you're going to get out of that trade. And so if it pulls back some, that's okay, as long as it doesn't hit your risk tolerance. That's really important. Also, it's important to just recognize that the stock market does 3 things. It goes up, it goes down, and it goes sideways, right?
Okay.
And so it's likely, when you first place a trade, it's likely to fall a bit, right? Unless it's on momentum, it may pull back a bit. But if you read the charts, you understand, you've gone through your case building process, and it makes sense, then there's a great likelihood that it's going to go in the direction that you decided to go.
Okay. I like the fact that you gave those 3 options, because I was literally going to ask you about the day versus swing trading. That's something that you've just said, because people are like, oh, okay, it goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways. Okay, so where do I fall in? So when you think about the day versus the swing trading, what does that mean when somebody is going into this course study?
Yes, that's a great question as well. I get this question a lot. So when you are a swing trader, you are holding on, the technical definition is that you're going to hold on to your position for overnight, right?
Okay.
So you're not in and out of a position in one day. You're looking at a longer term trajectory. Ideally, you're looking at your charts, you're determining where those respective pivot points are. In other words, your levels of support and resistance, and you're planning your trade out for the longer term. Whether it's you're buying, that would be a longer term trade. Whereas a day trader, you have to have specific criteria and qualifications to be termed a day trader. Okay. What day trading will allow you to do is to enter and exit trades throughout the day as many times as you desire.
Okay.
Now, there's all types of things to go in at. It depends on how much margin, so forth and so forth you have. But you should be able to get in and out of trades. Now, in order to be considered a day trader, there is a financial benchmark that you have to have, and that's $25,000 in your account. If you have the $25,000, you can be considered a day trader, which will give you that possibility to get in and out. Now, if you don't, one of the reasons why they don't allow you as a swing trader to get in and out is that they don't want you to overtrade, right? So you have 3 times in a 5-day period in order to get in and out of a trade during the same day.
Okay.
Hopefully that makes sense.
That makes sense. It also kind of gets me to the point of realizing that if I want to be a swing trader, then I must be prepared for the risk. And the reason why they're also not letting you get there if you're not on that threshold is because they don't want you to have liabilities that are now, on them, yet you made that decision to fall in, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you also, we're portfolio managers. So anytime we are trading, we want to make sure that we're looking at this from a portfolio standpoint, not just a one trade standpoint. So if we work hard for our money, right? Regardless of where the source of it's coming from, whether it's, from a job or you just did a quick, gig to whatever it is, right? We work hard for that. So making sure that we are protecting it in a way that we're positioning ourselves to be profitable and not losing is incredibly important.
Exactly. I love that. It just makes you more knowledgeable about what you're about to get into before you start, so that when you do get in, you know what the expectations are, even though, like you said, your risk tolerance has to be really high so that you don't feel that you're being pressured, and if you lose it, you lose it. But if you gain, it's like a win. So you don't have to think about the ifs and maybes, but think about the facts because you've been able to do your research.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And with Invest to Give, I would really love, for our audience to learn more about your course, what your course is about, and just give them an overview of what the curriculum is.
Absolutely. So I am so grateful because right now I'm in a season of growth. I'm so excited about it. So I'm just over the moon right now. So I have a couple of different things that I offer to the community. First and foremost, I offer a program called Invest Young, and that is for youth ages 12 to 17, where I teach kids and expose them to the stock market.
Wow.
During that course, young people have the opportunity to not only understand how to read stock summaries and stock charts, they actually build their own portfolios. And they have 2 weeks in which they will go through and monitor the stock market, monitor the companies that they have placed into their portfolio, and then they come back and then they create a profit and loss statement, and then I actually give them an Amazon gift card for the youth who has acquired the greatest level of profit over those 2 weeks. And so I love teaching that class because it's just fun. Like, when I think about generational wealth building, I can't think of a better way than to teach young people and expose them to a way to generate wealth. So
yeah,
really enjoy it. Yes,
that's a good one.
Thank you. That's one. And so then the other, as I have a program or a bundle, if you will, called Trade Your Payday, and that's a opportunity for people who are really in the space where, like, okay, I'm really interested in this, to transition to a place where they're invested.
Okay.
And so that is offered now as a bundle. So it's a video course with a number of different modules in it that will teach you pretty much everything you need to know in order to get started as a trader. So that is the second thing. I also offer a 90-day laser coaching program, and this is where I really dig in and provide a lot of impact to students. So within the program, students have unlimited access to me to schedule coaching sessions, with the caveat that they have to complete their wealth work. Okay, wealth work has to get done because we have to make sure we're continuing to progress. I also offer Sunday sessions where we prepare for the next week for our trades. And then last but not least, I trade live with those students as well. So we hop on during intraday, we talk through our trades, I talk through my thought process of trading, and then I also give my students an opportunity to talk through their thought processes as well as we're placing these respective trades. So that's the laser coaching program. And then last but not least, this one hasn't been launched yet, but I'm super excited to be launched on June 1st. It is my signature program called Made for More. And so that will be a full inclusive suite of trading, mindset work, as well as holistic wellness work. Because I believe we have to be healthy in our minds and bodies in order to be really, really strong traders. And so, yeah, super excited about that program. That more information about that will be released in the coming weeks.
Awesome. You know what I was thinking about when you mentioned the first course? It's like Invest to Give is like a place where you coming from an entry level at, let's say, the age of 16. You've been able to build your work experience, your internship program from an inbound perspective. And then by the time you're done and you've been able to achieve that goal, especially to your satisfaction and also the standard of the community, they can now take that confidence to the next level, which is now your next course, and then give them another refinery tool to create that, what do you call it? Yes, generational wealth for yourself. Because if you think about the history of how, money has been spent, money is retained in terms of investing, and how we're able to really, stay in connection with what we do, you realize that the kids of today are very knowledgeable, especially because of technology. But I think also because that you've given them an avenue to succeed and also find their own peers, now it makes them more confident in making those financial decisions when they're older. I like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's one of my favorites.
You're welcome. Anytime. Now, if you think about all these four courses, the modules, what would you say is, I know they're all dear to you, but which one stands out the most to you that someone has to say, okay, I have to make a decision between these four? Which one would I pick to start and which one would I finish with?
I think that if you're seeking true transformation, my signature program, Made for More, is definitely going to be a game changer. So I am super excited about just getting this started because it's not just teaching one a skill, but it's helping to promote overall wellness, right? Trading is a mental game. It's a completely mental game. I can teach a skill all day, right? But you have to have the mindset, the discipline, the patience to be consistently profitable. And so this program is going to be something that really helps to nurture that space. It's also designed to help people to realize that, the more that they're made for. Right. Mm-hmm. So my target market with this particular program is to speak to those who may be sitting in 9-to-5 jobs where they have not really realized their full potential. Maybe they're waiting for their seat at the table. Maybe they're waiting on the next promotion. The means to accomplish our life's desires is not necessarily a job, it's the financial resources that will afford us that, right? And so it is my goal and my desire, my prayer, that I will be able to offer people another way, another opportunity to acquire those financial resources that will help them to live a life that just feeds their soul. And so that is the aspiration with Made for More, is to be able to provide that space and that opportunity, as well as that skill set.
That's great. That's really great. It definitely shows that this is a need and people are required to solve solutions. But when they're able to go through training and coaching programs like the ones you have, it makes them more confident. And even when you're not there, they can also teach somebody else, which is the whole essence of education.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's my hope. That is truly my hope, is that people will take the skill that they're learning and teach others, teach your kids, right? And this truly be a generational thing, you know? Mm-hmm. So,
Okay. This is amazing. I love Invest to Give. The logo is amazing. It looks like the Wi-Fi is strong. Definitely. You're welcome. I love the visual. I love everything about it. If there's someone that is trying to reach out to you to know where to even start, how do they get in contact with you? What are the options that they have available?
Yes, absolutely. So the quickest way to reach me, and I love DMs because I love just connecting with people. So the quickest way to reach me is through Instagram, which is at Invest to Give. You can reach me there. You can also visit my website, which is invest2give.com, for more information about my site, my work. And then also you can find me on Facebook at Invest to Give. So I'm pretty much everywhere if you just use Invest, the number 2, Give.
Amazing. Wow. Laquore, this is amazing. I really appreciate you joining the Playroom to talk about this, because we don't have a lot of financial topics. It's mostly on marketing. So when we have something like this, we treat it very specially. And I'm so happy you were able to be here today.
So the pleasure was all mine. Thank you so much for allowing me to come and to share with your audience.
You're welcome.
It was a pleasure.
You're welcome. Anytime. Wishing you a wonderful, wonderful week ahead.
Thank you. You do the same.